everyone, my name is Kayla Fletcher. I'm the founder of Quiet Bodies and the on-demand platform, the Anonymous Pilates Club. So today I'm coming at you with a really quick tutorial on Sidekick series. This is one of my favorite parts of a classical Mat Pilates practice and a contemporary Mat Pilates practice, to be honest with you. And I think that although it is a longer series compared to the rest of our exercises in the sequence, it is one, if you really hone in on your position, you're really going to make it count. Whereas if you let things be a little sloppy and move around, it's not going to be as effective. And you might actually start strengthening other muscles that you aren't intending to strengthen at all. So first off, what are we trying to strengthen in our Sidekick series? Well, we're working our leg in a big range of motion depending on the variation you're doing, but we're also strengthening the side of our seat. The side of our seat is really important. It prevents our hips from wobbling. So for example, if you're walking, running, or going upstairs, the sides of your seat are going to stabilize your pelvis from going like this. So if you like to spin, run, ski, whatever, be a human and walk, this is really important. You need this. And we also lose this strength as we get older. So that's why it's important. And then, we change the variation. As you notice, we do circles and this and that, and that's not just because it's fun and it's choreography, it's also because you're going to target different parts of your seat, because it's actually, there's more than just one muscle here. So we're going to talk a bit about that today as well. But right off the bat, let's talk about our setup position first. So traditionally speaking, or in my classes, the most common setup will be to line your spine up with the back edge of your mat. Okay, and then you place your feet at the bottom front corner. Now, one thing, gravity is always pulling us down in Mat Pilates, right? So if I were to relax, and you can do this with me, you can be interactive with me if you want. If you just laid down in the position and you relaxed everything, notice how your top leg just naturally is shorter than your bottom leg. So this also means that your pelvis, you can see my pelvis is at this kind of angle. So if I take my hand, this is my top hip bone, this is my bottom hip bone. They're not in a horizontal line with one another. So a simple setup trick is to just flex your feet so that you have a clear idea of where your legs are in space, and then just line your feet up with one another. And then you notice that now my hip bones are stacked on top of one another. Now the tricky thing is going to be holding it there while you do the exercise. So let's start off with up and down because it's the easiest to master. So I'm going to push down into my hand. I'm a huge believer of using this at first. And you're going to start to lift your top leg up. Just about 2 feet with resistance, and then lower it back down. And if you're a visual person, watch yourself do this at first. I'm going to watch my toes. I'm going to make sure that my front toe doesn't go forward or backwards. It's right on top of my bottom toe. And then I'm going to lower it back down. Lift up, up, up. And then down, down, down. So sometimes I like to lower my leg all the way down without relaxing it, just to make sure that my legs are in fact on top of one another. Now, if I lost my form, look what happens, right? I'm going to feel my hips twist backwards as I lift my leg. And I start to feel a little bit different muscles working, okay? So this doesn't disturb this, and sometimes slowing it down is really valuable. So that's in a parallel position, and that's really going to target this side of your seat. So let's talk about little tweaks that you can do in order to change what parts of your leg you're strengthening. So now, without letting my hip drop, I'm going to point my feet. I find it's a bit easier. And I'm going to turn. So if you watch carefully, I'm going to twist my thigh bone. You can practice that a few times. Just practice turning forward and back. You might have more than me. You might have less than me. I'm only doing this with my top leg. Now when I found my external rotation, I'm going to start to lift my leg up. It will go higher and then back down. Now as my leg lifts higher, I'm going to ask my thigh bone to turn more, and then lower back down. The temptation here is going to be to do this, right? So really break it down and practice. How high can you lift that leg? Like, if I'm being truly honest with myself, maybe that's it. So now let's go back to flexed feet. Check your feet are the same length. I'm going to lift my heel, bringing my big toes together. And now I'm going to lift my leg from here.
And this is like a doozy. This is really, you're gonna get right into this side of the seat here. Okay, so that's just a few ways that you can kind of balance out the strengthening. So if you're working out on your own and you're not following a class that's programmed for you, you just want to make sure that you're mixing up the variations and you're not doing 45 just up and down in parallel. You want to give yourself a little bit of variety. Circles are great. And the next thing I want to just point out is if you bring your leg forward or backwards or drop your hip, it's going to start to target more. So if you're someone that doesn't feel a lot in through here, you likely are bringing your leg forward as it comes up and down. And that's going to start to strengthen this muscle here, your TFL, a little bit more, or kind of into your hip flexors, right? So kind of pay attention to that too. Next time you do your side kick, do you indeed feel it right here, or are you kind of feeling it more in the front of your hip? And then you're going to want to watch out for, okay, actually, yeah, I feel it in the front of my hip. What's going on? Take a peek at your form and notice if your leg is coming up and forward like this, okay? So I hope you found that helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below or send me an email or a direct message. My inbox is always open. It's hard to cover a lot of information in a short amount of time, so this is just a jumping off point, and if you have more questions, we can continue the conversation. So have an amazing day, and let's continue to learn.